Good afternoon. I'm walking through here. How are you all today?
I'm good. Good.
What is your mission right here?
I have to talk to my leadership about that.
Can I ask you, what's your mission here?
Sir, we're just out here in the communities that we live in. We're just out here to maintain a presence. But if you guys have any questions, I can give you a few phone numbers that you can reach out to. Let me grab it.
We're here live in St. Paul.
So right up here, that's the PAO office right there. So if you have any questions or inquiries, those guys can probably direct you a lot better than I can, sir.
Okay, thank you.
How are you doing today?
I'm all right.
Yeah?
Yep.
It's pretty hot out though, huh?
It is, it is.
Yeah.
And when I was up at the protest, a lot of just really peaceful, and everybody got really worried that the military was down the street. They thought people don't trust you all. Like they thought you were gonna come in and do a lot of damage like you've sort of been doing this week. So it's, I was just trying to see what you all were up to.
No, we're just hanging out down here.
Thank you.
So, yeah, thank you. You guys be safe out there.
Thank you. So we're here live in St. Paul, a massive, well not a massive, a sort of large military presence, the National Guard, all up and down Summit Avenue. Right now, there's a big protest going on in front of the governor's mansion in St. Paul. The governor's mansion protest is called Jail Killer Cops. So you see at least 10 National Guardsmen lined up on the street. Did I say Summit Ave? I meant Grand Avenue. And there's quite a few vehicles, military vehicles. Came down here to check it out. The protest is going on about a block away. People got excited, fearfully excited, saying the police were down here, the military was down here, and they were scared. So came down here to check it out, and this is what we saw. Just a bunch of National Guard, sort of. Is that Patch? You all from Minnesota, all you all?
Yes.
Yeah. And then, like, is there a unit? Like Red Bull infantry or anything?
Minnesota National Guard.
Yeah, okay. Did you ever think you would see this? Did you ever think you would be in St. Paul right now, activated for uprising?
Do you have credentials?
Yes.
Can I see them?
Yes.
Okay. So, what was your question?
Did you ever think you, personally, joining the National Guard, would see what you're doing right now, sort of guarding a building in St. Paul and Grand Ave? Yeah. How do you feel about it?
I don't want to get into personal feelings. You know, I mean, we're here to keep the city safe. So,
have you been around all week?
a minute. Yeah.
How do you feel like things have gone?
I would actually prefer to just pass you off to my battalion commander.
Okay.
Sir, are you ready to do do you mind talking to this gentleman?
Can I ask you a couple questions? If not, it's okay.
No, actually, I can give you a number.
Yep, okay, I just got the number from the gentleman over there.
Yeah, so they've all the specific questions you have. I mean, they'll be more than willing to give
You bet, sir.
press releases and everything else that you need and answer all the questions.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem, man. Thanks.
Do you all have the same M4s?
It's the Army. Everything's the same.
Everything's the same? Yeah? All right.
It's the same
Have a good day,
uniform.
sir.
All right, thanks, you too. So they got M4s with 30-round clips, all in their hands. Every single one of them out has a M4 in their hands. And it looks like they're going to be out here in St. Paul. So if you live on Grand Avenue or around this area in St. Paul, understand that these folks are right outside your house. Did you ever think you would be out here in St. Paul in the middle of an uprising?
I'm unable to speak right now. I'm just here to keep the peace and bring the peace.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
To bring the peace with the M4. Yeah, I guess. I was joking with the yeah. There's quite a few officers in this truck. This must be like the close truck for everybody to be in. While they're waving. Photo op, photo op. Have a good one.
You too.
Well, have fun out there.
I don't know if it's fun. I mean, people are like, it's a lot of pain.
Yeah.
Doesn't seem like fun. Wow. Like that mentality? Have a lot of fun out there? What the? Alright, that's what we're dealing with. We're gonna head back up to Summit Ave. Summit Ave, right up the street, is where the governor's mansion is. It's the site of intense clashes for a few nights during the Philando Castile uprising. Or movement, if you want to call it a movement instead of an uprising. Again, this is Nico from Unicorn Ride. Thank you for joining. We're here live on Summit Avenue, you know, in St. Paul. There's an action called Jail Killer Cops. People are all on one knee right now. It's a few thousand. They're up here. We were just live for Family Speaking Up here at the same spot. Go back to our footage of that, check it out. This place is packed. I just walked away and there definitely was not this many people.
Tells you right there, it wasn't getting down to business. It didn't say police killings. Because that's what they are. They're not police involved. Many of us went to meet with that panel they had put together, half of which was comprised of other law enforcement officers. And we went to give our point of view. We went to tell what we know is needed from the position of a family member. We had people presenting what was needed from a legal perspective. We gave written documentation. Communities United Against Police Brutality really took the lead on that. And when that report came out, not one suggestion from the people was added into that report that Keith Ellison spearheaded. So Keith Ellison had an opportunity to make change and to hold police accountable, but he did not. He sided with the blue line and began to talk about in the report community engagement and building trust within the police department with the community. That is not what we need. We cannot trust the oppressors.
I'm gonna squeeze right by you. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
And for many of us, there was never any trust to rebuild.
I'm gonna squeeze right by you.
So we have to be clear about who Keith Ellison is and where he stands and the opportunity that he had to make change. And he did not. not one recommendation
What up? How you doing?
taken from the people. So we are here because we want to denounce Keith Ellis's eligibility to prosecute the murder of George Floyd. We know he has worked closely, as he says, with Mike Freeman. We know what Mike Freeman has done. He has continued to hold that blue line and not hold any officers accountable other than Officer Noor, a black Muslim Somali who killed a white woman. So what we need these 4 officers, all 4 of them, arrested and treated like they were black men. We want all 4. The entire world has seen how the Minneapolis Police Department moves. And there have been so many that have died and been killed at the hands of police by MPD, and they didn't really get justice. We saw what happened to Jamar Clark. There was no justice there. So we want to make sure that when we come out of this, that we come out with something even better than before. We need legislation in place to protect the people.
That's right.
This must be about much more than these 4 officers. And we need this legislation at the federal level to cover all of our states who are protesting in solidarity with us here in the United States, and we also are so thankful for those in other countries. They see us and they're standing with us. And we give our respect and our love to those who lost their lives protesting over the weekend. We must keep them in our prayers, and when we get those names, we will honor them as well. But for now, we know that our comrades have fallen. And so, with that, we will remember we do this and we do take our lives in our hands. But it's what we must do, because we've never seen real change, even in this country, without sacrifice.
That's right.
It takes real sacrifice to get the changes that we need. We have people reaching out to us from other countries, other organizations, people saying we stand with you, people asking what can we do to help. This is my skill set. What can I do? I don't know what all of your skill sets are, but there's a place for every one of us in this movement. Just come. Just come and continue to come. And bring somebody with you and continue to come. Because we must not stop until all 4 officers are in prison.
That's right.
Our first speaker is going to be Dr. Nakima Levy-Armstrong. She is a fierce freedom fighter. She is there for everyone, serving her community, far beyond police brutality. So we're going to have Ms. Nakima Levy-Armstrong come forward. Thank you.
How y'all doing? We were just getting word from the governor's people about whether he's going to come out here or not. And we said he can come, but he needs to wait and he needs to listen.
That's right.
Because here's the reality. The governor has had since the time that he has been elected into this position to listen to the voices of communities of color, to listen specifically to the voices of black people who have been impacted by police violence in the state of Minnesota, as well as the family members of the victims of police violence, who have been crying out for years for justice and accountability and transparency and legislation and systemic reforms, and none of that has taken place. And it's unacceptable. You guys notice now how so many of our elected officials are scrambling around. What can we do? What should we do? Crying on TV. I've seen mayors sitting there crying, chastising people, saying worried about capitalism, and burning buildings, and not worried about bodies being choked out. So I have no empathy for a mayor who had an opportunity to change what was happening in the system, standing on TV crying now. It's too late for all that. Because you ignored the tears of the real victims and their family members in this situation. And as the general public, we need to make sure that we're not falling for the okie doke and listening to everything that they're saying right now if they're not putting systemic, strategic reforms on the table, coupled with the resources and the ability for public input. Some of these people who are standing here around me, and some of the ones who are not here right now, because they're at home resting from all the stress that they've been under for the past 5 years, shutting shit down to get the attention of the state, so we wouldn't have had to lose George Floyd in the first place to some ignorant police violence. We're just fed up. So here's the reality. Here's what I want to do. So I'm a civil rights attorney, and I've been out here with the people fighting. But there are also other attorneys who we have invited to join us here today, because we need to deconstruct the new developments that Monique Cullors-Doty talked about that have happened over the weekend, as far as our denouncement initially of Mike Freeman as the Hennepin County attorney, who we know is incompetent, who we know has misled the public, who we know has never held a single cop accountable during his 2 stints as the Hennepin County attorney. Other than one who had light skin complexion, right? The only officer he ever prosecuted was one with melanin in his skin. That ain't right. And he also happened to be Muslim and Somali. And like Monique
what made you come out?
He killed a white woman. And we
Voices need to be heard. And as we said, the murder of George Floyd has shook the world, and it's the conscience of Minnesota. This is our responsibility.
That is my uncle you're talking about.
George Floyd.
That is my uncle. That is my uncle. All of our families are hurting. Every one of our families are here today. You're welcome to come and listen, and then
I'm not going to stop.
It's
No, I'm not
absolutely
going to stop.
ridiculous.
I'm here to listen to black
So
folks.
of course Mike Freeman is not competent, nor is he qualified to handle this case. We already know that he is setting the potential for justice up for failure, which you're going to hear a little bit about. It's just completely unacceptable. And as Monique said, not only is Mike Freeman not qualified to take on this case, he needs to first resign. And if he is unwilling to resign, he called. Now the governor has made a decision, at least it seems that way, to appoint Keith Ellison as the Attorney General Keith Ellison to oversee the case, which he does have the power under the law to do. The governor can take the case and hand it over to the Attorney General, but the governor also has some additional options underneath the Attorney General, which we're going to talk about. And I just want to reiterate what Monique said about why we don't have a lot of trust in Keith Ellison. Now, it does not give me pleasure as an African-American attorney to have to call out another African-American attorney. But the reality is that we know that all skin folk ain't kinfolk. I have to be honest about that. Now, before the occupation of the 4th precinct that happened on November 15th of 2015, after which Jamar Clark, 24-year-old African-American unarmed man, shot at point-blank range in the head by Minneapolis police officers. Before that happened and we took over the 4th precinct, Keith Ellison and I, we were friends. And actually, after all of this happened, Keith Ellison called me because it became national and international news. And he said, Nikema, what can I do in my role as a congressman? Because that's what he was at the time. And he was a congressman of the 5th Congressional District, which is a very diverse district, but upon which the African American community has been neglected, even while he was a congressman.
Speak.
And we had a number of issues with police brutality during that period of time.
That's right.
So he called and said, what can I do? I said, you can write a letter because we want the body camera footage released. We want to know the names of the officers. We want to see charges and arrests in this case. And he said, okay, I'll write a letter and I'll do what I can. And then he flew back here. And instead of cooperating and collaborating with the community that decided to engage in that occupation, camping out in front of the 4th precinct, he played politics essentially and worked to divide some activists from each other. And even though I thought we were friends, I had to deal with a lot of undermining at the hands of Keith Ellison that dissolved our friendship. And as a matter of fact, at one point at the 4th precinct, he and I stood toe-to-toe just like this, like bring it. Because you are not about to neglect the rights of the people here who have fought and who have used their voices for justice. And now that they're staying in the freezing cold in front of the police precinct, you're trying to stand with the mayor to make them leave. So we said, hell no, we won't go. Period. So when I saw the political games that he was playing with people's lives, I cut off our friendship, and that's been the end of that. So if I see him, I'm cordial because we loyal, but he knows that I'm not there with him anymore. So that's why I have reservations based on what I've seen, not to mention the things that Monique talked about. So here's what we want to do. I want to bring up some other lawyers so they can share their perspectives about what are the options under the law, as well as the things that they're concerned about in terms of the original charging complaint that was put forward against that one officer who's been arrested. But see, a lot of people cheered. Woo, one officer arrested. We were even having a press conference last week, and our press conference was disrupted by a reporter saying, guess what? They decided to arrest an officer. Now, that was strategic because it was a black-led press conference. And you telling me you had a few days and you wait until the middle of our press conference to announce an arrest? And so we're like, that's great, but it's not good enough. We asked for 4 of them to be prosecuted. Some of our lawyers have looked into the original charging complaint. They're going to talk about that. They're going to talk about what is available under the law. And you'll be able to see how crooked and corrupt this system is and why killer cops repeatedly get off the hook and why we are here in the hot-ass son in front of the governor's big-ass mansion demanding justice. So with that, I'm going to first bring up Bruce Nestor, who is a civil rights and civil liberties and immigration attorney. He's been in the trenches with the people. When we shut down the middle of America in December of 2014, 11 of us faced criminal charges, and Bruce stood in solidarity with us for 11 months until those bogus charges got dismissed.
That's a beautiful introduction. And I was one of many attorneys that worked and stood with you in the trenches.
Absolutely.
Only one.
Absolutely.
And you're hard to follow. Especially when I got to talk about the law, because the law does not bring justice. People talk about the rule of law. When you talk about the rule of law, you got to ask about who is writing the laws and whose benefit they're writing them for. I've got a lot of people look around at the folks that prosecute, at our county's attorneys, at our city attorneys, and say, we need criminal justice reform. Will you run for office? And I say, I am going to send a black or a brown body to jail. Never going to send a poor person to jail. I'm not going to be part of this system. Because you look at what our system is doing to deny justice to George Floyd, it makes me worry as a lawyer and cry as a human being. Mike Freeman, who claims now that he called up Jesus to co-counsel the case with him to save face. Mike Freeman held a press conference where, as a prosecutor going after a criminal, he announced that there was evidence that would not even support probable cause to charge the cops. I have never seen a prosecutor do that in the 25 years that I have practiced law. And that was in the face of a video, which I can't watch anymore. Which most of you have seen it. That was in the face of that. He said he couldn't find probable cause to charge. Exactly. And he delayed.
Come on now.
Mike Freeman issued a criminal complaint, which I have never seen in any of the cases that his office issues, charging my clients or charging anybody that's not a cop in Hennepin County. He issued a complaint that attacked the victim of a brutal police killing. He issued a criminal complaint that spoke to the state of mind of George Floyd, claiming that he was actively resisting, claiming that he intentionally fell to the ground. Those are words you will never see a prosecutor put in a criminal complaint against anybody in this crowd unless they're wearing a blue uniform. Those are matters that speak to intent, that speak to what was going on in George Floyd's mind, something that Mike Freeman doesn't know, something that will weaken his court, and he put it in the criminal complaint. But even more devastating is that I've talked to many experienced criminal defense lawyers over the past week or over the past few days who read the criminal complaint and are scared that the charge of third-degree murder won't even withstand a written motion to dismiss. No. That the case is being set up for dismissal or a plea bargain. No. Third-degree murder is committing a depraved act without the intent to harm any specific person. It's like shooting a gun into a crowd where you don't intend to hit any specific person, but it's a dangerous act. So the case law says that you cannot sustain a charge of third-degree murder if the animus or the intent is directed against only a single person. Well, who was that animus? The intent of that police officer. Of all 4 police officers directed against.
George Floyd!
against a single person. He may have directed that animus against many other people and never been caught on videotape and never been held accountable. But on that day, at 38th in Chicago, in the city of Minneapolis, his animus was directed at a single person. And under the case law as developed by the Minnesota courts, case law which already protects police officers, that charge is at risk of being dismissed, leaving the lead killer facing a charge of manslaughter and a recommended sentence of only 48 months. There is one thing that brought that charge as quickly as we got it, even if it's a flawed charge. There is one thing which caused Mike Freeman to claim he invited Keith Ellison into the case. And there is one thing that's going to bring justice for George Floyd. And that's all of you out here keeping on, keeping in the streets. Thank you.
That was powerful. Thank you, Bruce. Let's give Bruce another round of applause. He just gave a crash course in how a criminal complaint could be put forward, but there's so many holes in it, it just opens the door to a dismissal or ultimately an acquittal. So it's not real justice, and that's what we're here to talk about. So next I want to call up Attorney Josh Esime and also Michaela from the Legal Rights Center, because they're getting into the legalities of being able to appoint the Attorney General and the possibility of a special prosecutor in this case. Let's please welcome them.
Hi everyone. So we're from the Legal Rights Center, which is a community-driven, louder. We're from the Legal Rights Center, which is a criminal defense law firm, a nonprofit in Minneapolis that represents indigent clients faced with criminal charges, from low traffic tickets up to murder cases. So like Mr. Nestor, we see the day in and day out. We see what it looks like in the trenches. We see the complaints that the Hennepin County Attorney frequently files, and I could not agree with his assessment more. They do not look like the complaint that was filed against Officer Chauvin. Come on now. The only other thing I would add to Mr. Nestor's excellent explanation about what the deficiencies of the complaint are is that the decision to charge third-degree murder also probably stands as a barrier to charging the other three officers, because it's really unclear that an aiding and abetting charge or an assisting someone else in committing a crime charge can happen in an unintentional murder charge like third-degree murder. So for all of those reasons, we really think the charges do need to be raised to either second-degree murder or indictment for first-degree murder. So I'm going to introduce my comrade, my colleague, Maleka. She's going to speak a little bit more as to what the Legal Rights Center's position is on this prosecution.
All right, Maleka.
I'd also like to add that Josh is here in a full suit because he spent all day at the Hennepin County Jail today with people who were arrested last night. Families know where they were because they were taken last night in a peaceful protest, and so we have to stay vigilant.
No doubt.
I'm speaking today on behalf of the Legal Rights Center to demand justice for George Floyd. We need to clear the way for higher charges against Officer Derek Chauvin and the arrest and prosecution of everyone involved.
That's right.
Hennepin County Attorney Mike Freeman's office must be entirely removed from this case. his office that charged Chauvin with the third-degree murder. This was inappropriate and legally indefensible.
That's that bullshit.
The third-degree murder only applies when someone acts without regard to their impact on a particular person. It does not apply in this case, where Chauvin clearly directed his actions at one person.
That's right.
At George Floyd.
That's right.
It is inconceivable that experienced Hennepin County prosecutors did not recognize this critical flaw when they made this charge. This is intentional.
Yes. Yeah, it is.
That charging decision undermined all of our trust. Our community does not trust them. We can't get justice like that. Mike Freeman's office has no place in this case. We ask the Attorney General to include an outside special prosecutor for all necessary assistance. Near this case. Mike Freeman's hands should have no place on this case. An outside special prosecutor must also have no relationship with the Minneapolis Police Department. We've heard it. We know it. They know each other. They work together. They need to be away from this case. We're calling for an outside, independent special prosecutor to get justice for George Floyd.
Thank you. Thank you so much. See, we work in solidarity. It's not just people on the street. We're making moves in the background. We're connecting with those who are doing legal work and all kind of other things. There's a lot that goes on behind the scenes. So we just thank everyone for sharing what they have and bringing it to the table to demand justice for who?
George Floyd!
Justice for who?
George Floyd!
Justice for who?
George Floyd!
That's right.
Hey, hey, hey!
Today, we want to give a shout out to the ACLU. The ACLU of Minnesota sent a letter demanding an independent prosecution in the killing of George Floyd. So, let's see. The letter was sent to Tim Walz, Governor of Minnesota, Hennepin County Attorney Mike Freeman, and Minnesota Attorney General Keith Ellison, demanding that the prosecution of the police who killed George Floyd be taken out of the hands of Hennepin County Attorney's Office and turned over to the Attorney General. So we want to thank. No, that's not me. That was a wrong little summation. What am I reading? Anyway, they want. Yes, they do want an outside prosecutor, special prosecutor, not associated with Hennepin County or Hennepin County Police.
No problem.
That's what we need. So we thank them for their involvement and engagement in this fight for George Floyd, because the fight for George Floyd is a fight for our future. That's right. That's right. We have a local activist who is always dedicated to the cause to fight against injustice. She also is the niece of George Floyd. So, and I didn't even know that until today. So my heart goes out, as I'm sure all of ours go out, to Angel. Angel, can you come forward? I'm going to tell you something about our sister here. The first time I saw her, she was down at the state capitol doing work on welfare rights. I was just blown away. She is phenomenal, a woman. So come on, I know it's hard in the moment of grief when you're in the valley, but we're here to give you strength.
That's right.
I just have to say, my voice is gone. So just listen clearly as much as you can, because I can't shout. I've been shouting for 5 days in the streets for justice. I don't stand here just as a community activist, but I also stand here as a Stolen Life family.
You got it.
I got it.
We got your back.
George Floyd was a distant relative of my son's, and he will always be remembered in our hearts. I don't want Keith Ellison. I don't want Crow. I don't want nobody in the state of Minnesota to take his case. And I definitely don't believe what the BCA said the death of my son's uncle is.
Tell the truth. Tell the truth.
Underlying health issues.
What the fuck is that?
They caused that.
Underlying health issues was a knee to the fucking neck.
Exactly.
He was loved in the community. He was a bouncer at a Latino club. And people loved him.
That's right. Stools.
He was a man. He was somebody's dad. He was somebody's friend. He was somebody's uncle. And he was loved. And I don't give a fuck about what you thought or think he did. $20 fucking dollars. It's not a death sentence. I lost family members due to my stance in the streets because I stand with Black Lives Matter. Because I stand for the city of Minnesota to burn because property over people is bullshit. If George don't get it, shut it down. If George don't get it, shut it down. If George don't get it, shut it down.
That was powerful, and also I'm proud to say I'm an organizer with Twin Cities Coalition for Justice with Angel, and she knows what she's talking about. She's done the research, she's done the studies, and she's out here and she's working for community control of the police. That's Minneapolis Impact, that Twin Cities Coalition for Justice for Jamar is working.
Yes, thank you for that.
Yeah, she was right on point when she said George Floyd had a medical condition that was a knee in his neck. But the other medical condition, he didn't have two hearts. He didn't have an extra set of lungs. He didn't have an extra trachea to take the place of the one that they crushed, in spite of the Hennepin County's medical examiner's assessment. We don't believe that for one moment. And we also need an investigation into that, and I'm assuming and hoping that the family will have an independent autopsy. Okay. Asphyxiation. They did that. Asphyxiation. So we see the alliance between the coroner's office and Hennepin County. That's why we need things outside of the city.
Even the
outside.
EMTs, even the EMTs who didn't render aid right away.
That's right.
The EMTs. So thank you, Angel. That to be in this position, to speak when you're in pain, let's give our hands. Let's give her a hand. Nikimo, do we have anyone that's scheduled on our list right now? Because I don't see. Is there someone scheduled?
Kimberly Handy Jones.
Scheduled? Okay. We have Kimberly Handy Jones.
I'm sorry. I need to make an announcement. Somebody stole a black bag back there, and that was my bag.
We have a black bag missing?
Yeah,
Oh, right there? Okay, great. They got you. All up here. All up. So we have a program. We have a prearranged program that we're going to. Kimberly Handy Jones, freedom fighter, mother of Cordell Q. Handy, killed by St. Paul police. And she has been doing beautiful work here and supporting the community of mothers. She has an annual banquet that is out of this world. It is a formal dinner, and everything is laid out with taste and class, and it is elegant. So she's doing work. She's bringing mothers from all over the country to the Twin City area with the Cordell Handy in Remembrance of Me Foundation. She's be coming forward. So when I say Cordell, you say Handy. Cordell. Handy. Cordell. Handy. Cordell. Handy. Cordell. Handy. All right, Kim. Woo! Ask the mothers and families to keep the remarks short. We have a lot of family members here. I'm going to ask you to keep the remarks short.
You know, it takes a village. And this looks like a village, but I want to know, where was the village at when my son got killed, when Marcus got killed, when Justin Teagan got killed, Isaac Hayes, Brian Quinones, Lamar Clark, Ardell Sherrill. Where was the village? We needed to see the village. See, George Floyd was just the straw that broke the camel's back. Because this ain't new to you all. That's right. This been going on.
That's right.
And then Governor Walz wants to come out. Was it talk or was it listen? But at any rate, I don't give a damn what it was. How about that? But for me, Governor Dayton, when he had it, should have been doing more. Governor Walz should have been listening to the cries of the people. Before George Floyd, before our kids stolen lives, he had plenty enough time to sit at home and sip his tea and listen to the cries of the people.
For 400 years! Come on!
I don't need him to listen. I I don't even need him to talk. Because what was going on here, nationally and internationally, has been going on. He should have been listening.
Yes, sir. Yep.
To the community, it is your responsibility.
That's right.
To help get justice by any means necessary. You are part of the problem. And I'm going to let you know, you can either roll with us or we're going to roll right over you. But we're going to keep rolling. In that order. When Colin Kaepernick took a knee, it was for injustices and inequalities to black and brown people. That's what that knee was about. But again, I said it before and I'm going to say it again. Where in the world do we care more about dishonoring flags, cloth, but it's okay to dishonor flesh? George Floyd is dead because that cop took a knee on his neck. Not only did he dishonor his body, he's dishonored his right to live, to breathe. And none of you all should be able to breathe down until we all can breathe. And as the Queen Olivia Armstrong said, all skin ain't kin. Well, naturally, chocolate and brown flavor ain't what they say for neighbors. We gotta breathe that into reality. We gotta make it happen. Stop looking down on black people like we thugs. Hell, the real thugs is the people that you all patronize. The police, they the thugs, they the gangbangers. Then you got a Hamilton County Attorney, Mike Freeman, and see, a white woman let me know that that was real fragile for her. So I'm just gonna wallow in it. See, she opened the door and see, I'm just walking through. He is an alcoholic. He's incompetent. He's unable to do the job for George Floyd and for all the ones before George Floyd. And you all knew it. It was the world's best kept secret that he was an alcoholic. But it's okay for them to kill our kids, then demonize them. Once you kill them and they're dead, then you still kill them. You keep killing them time after time after time after time. But my words ain't killed nobody. But my son is dead. Our loved ones is dead. George Floyd is dead. Quit hiding. Quit being fragile for Mike Freeman.
That's right.
And St. Paul wants to come and take a... Is that what I heard?
Hell no.
You won't be kneeling on my... Next all my people. Low down, dirty ass cops. They done went from pumping bullets into our kids to kneeling on our necks. I'd rather eat crumbs with bums than steaks with snakes. The person they need to be kneeling to is God. Because that's who they have to answer to. So if you gonna kneel God. Come and want to kneel with me. What you? Come on now. Were you kneeling then? No. I don't know about you all. I'm looking at all these white faces and I've seen them in different places. Some of you all carry the look of disgust, but you still get to take your disgusted ass homes to your living kids. And shout out to a little white young man, 22 years old, named JJ, who seen my live with you, Unicorn Ride. And he took it to his mother. In some type of way, that lady got my phone number, and she called me. I just want to say, keep raising JJ up the right way. and I'm gonna wrap it up real quick. Stop helping the police victimize, demonize, and dehumanize our children and loved ones. You ain't got nothing good to say. Don't say nothing at all. I'm letting you know right now. Don't fuck with me. Cause I'll come for your ass. Cause I didn't sit for you anyway. My soul story gonna get told with or without you. Stop demonizing our kids. What the hell is wrong with you all? You go home, you sit across the table with your kids, you have conversations, and then you have the nerves to feed your family off the fucking lies you have the police tell. Y'all be ashamed. You all, we don't run for you all. Oh, can I get your story? Can I get your story? I got no fucking story to tell. I'm telling you my truth. Accept it. And you know what I said today? I was gonna be nice. And I have been nice today. Because I've been going in. You, mama. But God told me it's okay.
That's right.
It's okay, because sometimes when you're fighting with pigs, you can't be afraid to get in the mud and get dirty. I know who I'm fighting with. And I will fight until the day it's no longer able for me to fight. But I tell you one motherfucking damn thing. St. Paul, you will never forget what you've done to Cordell Handy and all these stolen lives and families. But your ass will always remember Kimberly Handy Jones. I can promise you that. And if I could put in water and I'm gone, they have insurance. And they have assurance they can build it back up again.
That's right.
No matter how much insurance we had to bury our loved ones, they ain't getting back up off the ground. That's all you all, a lot of y'all care about is money anyway. But let me just tell you about your damn money. It can't buy your way into heaven.
Come on.
It can't give you that. It can't give you that eternal life. And I ain't never seen a doggone preach truck follow a morgue to a graveyard. Because when this life is over, it's gone, you can't do nothing with it. Stop cherishing money. Because there's things that money just can't buy. It just can't. Like the lives of our children and our loved ones.
That's right.
Stop looking at black people like we the one with the problem. You got the damn problem if you don't know what our problem is. Now let's get it.
Boots on the ground. We're here. To shut this shit down.
One more time.
Boots on the ground. We're here to shut this shit down.
Y'all better lace up. It's in your damn house. And if you don't want to see it, that's because you ain't trying to see it.
Come on, Miss Dunn.
Open your eyes. Don't tell me about you wake. You better get woke.
That's how she does it. But I do want to thank the media for being out here because we've been blacked out for so long because we've been protesting for years and sometimes it doesn't even make the media or the news. Wow. But I was going to give a special shout out to all of Unicorn Riot. Unfiltered truth of what is happening. And I've seen him out at the 4th precinct getting gassed and tear gas and everything else, and now it's happened again. But they stand and they make sure that the people are going to see what's really happening at the cost of their own flesh.
Nico! Nico! Nico!
and he deserves that, and all of Unicorn Riot do it because when they put their editorials and their stories together, it is slick. It is beautiful. It is professional. They're not just throwing up some red tag stuff. They get to editing and chopping that stuff up. It's amazing. So make sure you support Unicorn Riot. We have another independent journalist who's always out with us, and that's King Demetrius Pendleton. His Facebook has been turned off for a month now after live streaming what has happened at the 3rd precinct and the protests. One day they took down one and they said you're suspended for 24 hours. They came back and said you're suspended for a month.
Not right, not right.
Fuck that shit. That's the plight of many of the activists. I cannot get Facebook on my phone anymore, so I cannot live stream. I cannot post photos of what's really happening. I have to go back to my computer. Yes, and it happens. This happens across the country. I've talked with other people, but the fact that I can't even download the app again after it being gone, it's too much. It's too much. It's censorship, and we do the right to have full access to Facebook, and Facebook needs to fix that because we know that law enforcement has access to Facebook. That's how videos of them get taken off so fast. Right? So I just want to make sure that we're now acknowledging our independent journalists. We've got Chris June here, a photographer. Really did some good work. I see Taipei, the Taipei's out here with the journalism too. We got Mel now. Where's Mel Reeves? The spokesman. Trey, we've great people here who've been putting in work with us for years. The governor just like. Oh wow! Well, okay. That's fine. That's fine. That's fine. That's fine. It's fine. We can continue with that program. It's fine.
He must have liked what I said, but I
It's fine. We can just continue. We're going to move forward with that program. We have Jelani with CARE, who will be coming up to speak next on our program. Jelani, can you make people hear you?
First of all, I want to just greet you with greeting peace. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. May peace and blessings be upon you all. I want you to know, in this moment, we have to tell the truth. We have to tell the truth, and we have to see the truth. What took place on Monday was a tax paid, televised torture of a human being in America. I'm going to say it again. What we saw, and I want you to know, after we saw that, immediately what we saw was the lies and system is broke. There is no more evidence than what we are seeing today.
Right? Say that.
The police lie.
Yes.
The medical examiner lie.
Yes.
The mayors lie. Because the truth is, when you see a criminal like we saw on Highway 35, they took him away, didn't they? Didn't they put him in prison? Did they need evidence? Are they still waiting for some evidence? I'm going to tell you something. We didn't choose this moment chose us. George Floyd, say his name. George Floyd. 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 George Floyd, his death has brought on a seed of justice. And that seed of justice is given this country and all over this world. want you to understand, yesterday what we saw on that highway reminded me of Selma. It reminded me of a moment in this country where white people were complacent, where white silence was violence. And we're seeing that today. I'm going to let you know, in order for true change to happen, it is not going to be brought by the traumatized minorities in this country. It is going to be brought. It's going to be brought by all of us. All of us. Every single one of us. And I'm going to tell you something. I'm going to tell you something. I also saw in this protest, I saw a generation that wasn't going to accept this bullshit. I saw a generation of young people who don't care about curfews, but they care about justice. I'm going to let you know, no matter what excuses they tell us, history reminds us when we are together, when we are united, we can defeat them. When we are united, we can defeat them. And I'm going to tell you right now, the other hard truth we have to accept is America has become addicted to violence. We have become a nation addicted to violence. We only know how to export violence. We only know how to occupy people, poor people in this country. I want you to see what's happening in this country. You see military men, people with AR-15s coming in front of this mansion, not a single police officer there. When we show up, we got tanks. But one thing you have to understand, the power of the people is us. The power of the people is us. And when we are united, we can win. This country is guilty of genocide of Native Americans. This country is guilty of slavery. This country is guilty of mass incarceration. This country is guilty, even today, in this pandemic, they are denying health care to Americans, but they rather send military aid to the rest of the world. So in this moment, when we are shocked, when we are scared, when we are vulnerable, when our emotions are running, in this moment we have to make a promise. I don't mean a Facebook fake promise. I'm talking about a real promise. That's right. The kind of promise that our generations before us did to bring justice to this land in the civil rights movement. They did not give up. They stood in front of, just like we are today, in front of a military. They were facing hoes and they were facing military. But they did not give up. They marched from city to city. They bonded from city to city and they demanded justice. Now it's our time. This moment is our moment. We're gonna get justice. We are going to get justice. God already freed us a little bit from freedom. We're free a little bit from freedom. But I'm going to tell you something. I'm going to tell you something. If you think Freeman is bad, you elected him in. If you think Freeman is bad, you put him in office. You looked in there and bubbled his ass in. That is you. But the problem is this. You now are awakened. You are awakened. You see the truth. This is the time to make the change that is necessary to be so that we can see true justice in this land. So I'm going to tell you right now, I have two requests from you. Two requests from you. Number one, I want you to have some faith. Because I believe we are going to win. I believe as the world is burning today, we are going to win. We are going to win. We are going to win. Say it with me. You are going to win. We are going to win. We are this system, from the police officer to the prosecutor and to the laws of oppression that are on the books. We are going to change the system, and we're going to change the system when we free the black men in prison right now. The black moms that are separated from their families. And we are going to do that together. Not just this protest, we're going to do that together. And I'm going to tell all law enforcement, we are coming. We are coming. You saw in our community how we defended our homes this past 4 days. We saw how we came out and defended our communities. And the last point is, I personally believe in God. And so I am not going to give up, because I know right now God is watching us. And I believe deep down in my heart we are demanding for the intervention of God. We are asking God to give us the strength, the moral courage. We're asking God to help us stand in front of military might. We're asking God to give us the sight to see justice. We're asking God to change this country for the betterment of generations that are yet to be born. We are asking God in this moment to get justice for George Floyd. Say his name. 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 George Floyd.
We have Black Lives Matter activists, Trayvon Cruz. He organizes with me with Black Lives Matter Minnesota. I want to give a shout out to Black Lives Matter Twin Cities. Metro, also that. All right, Trayvon Cruz. He is also the uncle of Hardell Sherrill, who's killed in Beltrami jail.
Yes.
So we just want to make
There you go.
All right, Crayon.
Black lives matter. Black lives matter. Black lives matter. Black lives matter. I'm sorry, my voice is a little hoarse. We were outside yesterday standing up for George Floyd and all lost lives across the country.
Thank you.
For 400 years, the United States government has had its knee on the neck of the black family in the United States of America. Socially, politically, economically, and physically, they have been terrorizing our families for 400 long years. So we are demanding that at the local, state, and federal level, that the United States government pays full and complete reparations to the American descendants of slavery. And that's not only cash payments. We want all political prisoners free. We want all nonviolent prisoners in the jails and in prisons free because of COVID-19. We don't want our people in jail dying because of unjust laws. Joe Biden can't speak for us. Joe Biden passed the most serious, the most extensive crime bill in American history. Joe Biden and Amy Klobuchar and Governor Tim Walz support the 1033 grant program, which allows the military to use weapons, to sell weapons to the Pentagon. And lastly, the reason why we are out here today is because we don't want Keith Ellison to be the special prosecutor. Governor Tim Walz, Keith Ellison, John Harrington just had a commission. And they said they were going to take recommendations for families on how to stop police brutality in our cities. And what has happened?
Nothing.
George Floyd is dead. Travis Jordan is dead. So that's a non-starter. But what we are out here for today is today. In the next 10 minutes, we want Governor Tim Walz and the Chief of Police to arrest the rest of the officers who were involved in the murder of George Floyd. Say his name. Say his name. Say his name. Say his name. Lastly, when my sister Delcia's son died, they told us he died of pneumonia. They told us he died in their arms and they tried to resuscitate him. When we got the video back, we knew they were lying. This is what we call the art of the cover-up. Even when we see for ourselves, they'll try to tell us, we didn't choke you to death. We just watched you do it. So that's the art of the cover-up. They even tried to tell you that you don't believe what you're seeing. When we all watched George Floyd get choked to death by the Minneapolis Police Department. So we won't fall for the art of the cover-up anymore, and we will continue to disrupt commerce. Also, our last demand, when Mayor Carter was elected, he said there will be a re-review of the St. Paul Police Department. We're calling on Governor Tim Walz, Mayor Frey, Mayor Carter, to do a re-review of all police-related killings that have resulted in the state of Minnesota from the year 2000. George Floyd. Say his name. 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 Thank you.
Next time we have Trey Hearn get on the mic, we gotta make some space. He used to be a rapper, so when he gets the mic in his hand, he's just like all over. Thank you, Trey Hearn. That was powerful, very powerful words. So now we have a program, and next on our program is Mel Reeves. He is, yes, a revolutionary, a journalist, a writer who is well studied, and he is an educator. And I have to tell you how powerful he is. We have a program that we have organized, and we will keep to that track, so we get you. So we have Mel Reeves, who, let me tell you how he's about this. He lives it every day. And when I met Mel Reeves, come on up. Come on up. When I met Mel Reeves found me marching in a crowd and recognized me. He said, I want to tell you some things. I want to introduce you to some people. I want to help you. And that's what he's done. So, Mel Reeves, also founder of the Twin Cities Coalition for Justice in Vermont.
All right, y'all give yourselves a hand. No, give yourselves a hand. Because you could have been doing anything else right now, but you have sense enough to know that you need to stand up for what was right? And also, give these sisters and brothers up your hand. There's a lot of pain up here, y'all. I want you to understand this. There's a lot of pain. These people have done a lot of evil. That's the word. They've done a lot of evil. Because a lot of human beings I know and love are in pain. And I love these people. They're in pain. Give them a hand to continue to fight. Let me tell you something about those mothers. They don't never stop fighting. So let me tell you something. If you never stop fighting, guess what will happen eventually? We will win. I'm going to tell you that again. If you keep on fighting, if you keep showing up out here, don't let nobody tell you that protests don't work. Don't let nobody tell you all kind of protests work. They tore up a little something, all of a sudden they sent us one of the cops. But that we ain't satisfied with one of ours. No, how many we want? All four. We want all four. Say it with me. All four. All four. All four. All four. keep saying that. See, the press, even though a lot of them got big degrees and you know, they're smart people, they come out to the protest and can't figure out what the hell we gathered for. Right? They'll write all kind of stuff. And don't clown on them, because that becomes a story. But we're not distracted, are we? And so let's not let them be distracted. What we want is for all 4 of those cops to go to jail now. Right? We want them to go to jail now. When do we want them to go to jail? Now. When do we want them to go to jail? Now. When do we want them to go to jail? Now. Tomorrow? No. The day after that? No. Next week? No. Now. Now I dare one of these people in the press not write that down. So let me tell you something. We just went through a pandemic, right? And it dawned on me that on some level, we're dealing with an epidemic. You know what an epidemic is? I wrote it down. It's a widespread occurrence of a disease in the community. Guess what? Police violence is a disease in our community. Guess what? When something happens over and over and over and over again, it ain't no accident. Right? This was no aberration. What we saw, most of us saw, some of us saw, was a lynching. That's right. And you know what? We'll be coming out to lynchings over and over and over again until we decide that we've had enough. Because you know how you get rid of a disease? Right? You got to cut it out. You got to cut it out. And sometimes all you can do is get rid of the carrier. And that carrier is this low-down, filthy, rotten system we call capital. Yes, it is. If I'm lying, why did they put your mom and dad on the front line of the epidemic without no personal protection equipment? Tell me about it. Right? If I'm lying, why did the companies let people work when they knew the pandemic was in the building and they didn't tell nobody? Right? Tell me if I'm lying. The health company, they got your mamas and daddies working in the front lines as health workers, and they have sense enough to protect them. What kind of system does that but a low-down, dirty, rotten system? Right? Our kids in this community out there, we can't get educated. What kind of system does that but a low-down, dirty, rotten system? Right? We're talking about Michael Freeman, but don't just put it on Michael Freeman. You see, the governor didn't want to take this mic because he couldn't tell you what we wanted to hear. I'm calling it like it is. He couldn't stand before you and tell us that he was going to do the only decent thing that any other human being would do, which is to give us justice, right? If me and you had killed somebody, we'd already be in jail. If we had 3 people with us, they'd have charged us with felony murder. So don't look at me crazy when I say this is a low-down, filthy, rotten system. And don't talk to me about Biden and Trump. Don't talk to me about Biden. He's already told us, black folks, that you got to vote for me, and I ain't giving you a damn thing. Whoa, dog. You're not going to give us nothing? So I know this sounds crazy, but when somebody tells me they ain't going to give me nothing, I'm thinking to myself, let's try something else. I'm just trying to make sense, y'all. I'm trying to make sense. I'm like that old slave when he said, hey, man, let's run away. Like the other house slave. They said, man, where we gonna go? It's pretty nice here. The slave said, He said, any place is better than here. There you go. So I'm gonna close. I wanna make a point to you. I know that you all are opposed to what happened here. I know you want to change it. And as the speakers kept telling you, the way we change it, y'all, is the way folks have changed throughout history. Right? We don't have slavery no more because people finally made their minds up that we're gonna get rid of it. Right? There was something called apartheid in South Africa. Folks made their mind up that they weren't going to go for it. The blacks decided we're not going to be run down by the whites anymore. And now they still have struggles, but they're somewhat free. Right? And Cuba had a dictator named Batista. Right? Y'all know about it. Right? Had a dictator. And a few people in a boat, in a little boat, they landed. And Fidel with his bad self said, well, listen, if we land, we'll fight. And if we fight, we'll win. And if you fight, you'll win. Black people used to be second-class citizens, and we still are. We still are, but there's no colored signs and no white signs no more. We fought to get rid of that, didn't we? Yeah. So I can prove that you don't like this, because You wouldn't beat up anybody, would you? You wouldn't have a police force that beat people up, would you?
No, sir.
You wouldn't have a police force that beat people up because of the color of their skin, would you?
Right.
You wouldn't have a police force that beat people because of their sex or sexual orientation, would
No,
you?
sir.
Of course not. So why are we putting up with this? So your charge, yeah, you can clap to that. I'm trying to make a point. You wouldn't lynch anybody, would you?
No, sir.
If somebody was on somebody's neck and they tell you to get off, you would get the hell off, wouldn't you? But this psychopath, and that's what he is. You don't call him no pig. I've seen pigs before, and he ain't got nothing on no pig, right? So to call him a pig is a disgrace to pig. Y'all saw the gray hair and you didn't think I could do this, did you? I've been doing this a long time, and let me tell you something. Everybody knows me, knows that I am mad as hell. Right? I'm willing to put my life. I'm gonna tell you the truth. So if somebody put their hand on me, I'm gonna defend myself. I'm telling you like it is. And so you too, and you gotta do that at some point. But anyway, I'm gonna close by pointing out that you wouldn't do that, so you gotta create a system. You gotta create a system that does what you want. Right? You wouldn't put people on the front line of no pandemic without the stuff they need, right? You wouldn't put profit over human beings' lives, would you? So then why you keep tolerating this? So this is the start. I ain't beating up on you, I'm saying this is how every change started. Every revolution started just like this, right? And like Brother Ahern said, so I'm gonna close with you. You gotta see, and y'all did it already. You gotta see George Floyd like you see yourself. Yes. You gotta see that man on the ground begging for his life. You gotta see him as yourself. When you begin to care about other people's issues, when you care about Trey Hearn's issues, yes, Nakima's issues, Monique's issues, right? My sister's issues, as much as you do yours. When you care about justice, as much as you do your fine car, your nice house you're going back into, that nice meal you're gonna have, I'll tell you what, then you will get justice. So we're closing this chant, so we let them know what we want. If we don't get no justice, they don't get no peace. If we don't get no justice, they don't get no peace. If we don't get no justice, they don't get no peace. If we don't get no justice, they don't get no peace. If we don't get no justice, they don't get no peace. All right, all right, all right. Let's do it.
Wow. Thank you, Mel. Thank you, Mel. So, Marquise, oh, there you are. We got Marquise Armstrong, just giving back to the community, working on mental health in the black community, doing great work that is changing people's lives, giving them coping skills for this oppressive system that we live in, and that's very necessary with the tyranny that we live in today. So Marquise, come please give us your voice. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I want to ask something to happen. I asked my brother Tyrone Carter to come up here and stand with me. And he said yes, he would do it. Now I want every black man behind me to come forward. I want everybody else to step back and make room. Every black man to come right here. Every Native man, if you're not up here, stand up if you're out there. Every Somali man. Every single man who has a hue, I need you to stand with me in solidarity. Give us some room, y'all up here. Give us some room. Spread out so everybody can see this. Look. We are men. We are not animals. We are fathers. We are sons. We are uncles. We are protectors of our community. Keep standing. I need to look at this. My brothers, I love y'all. Jelani, where you at? I see you. Thank you, my brother, for all you do.
We love you.
Look, my brothers, our mothers, our women, and our sisters have been carrying this work for us for decades, for centuries. And it is our responsibility to get to our damn feet, to become healthy spiritually, mentally, and physically, so we can take that mantle from them. Excuse me, I'm sorry, they're not gonna give it up, so that we can join them in this fight. This is our moment. This is our moment to get back in position. We need to get back in position. Do y'all hear me?
Yeah.
Y'all see this? All of this right here has been led by black women. We love our black women. That's right. That man called to his mama.
Yes,
He said, "Mama, please get off me." You know why he called to his mama? Because our mamas will take a damn machete and hurt anybody trying to hurt us. Say it again. So it's our responsibility to get on this line with them and stand beside them to help them to protect us. I need y'all to know, if you are a person of faith, this is God. Do you hear me?
Yeah.
God will burn some shit up. The last time he flooded this shit out, tore it down so he can rebuild it. That's right. It's that time right now. It's a God moment. Y'all hear me?
Yeah.
Tell him, King. If God be for us, who can be against us? We ain't scared. Bow down, Babylon. Black people are the bomb. We ready. We coming. We ready. We coming. Bow down, Babylon. Somali people are the bomb. We ready. We ready. We ready. We coming. Bow down, Babylon. Native people are the bomb. We ready. We coming. We ready. We coming. Bow down, Babylon. Hmong people are the bomb. We ready.
We coming. We ready. We coming.
Look, Mel Reeves was not lying. He was telling the truth. We have a germ. We have a bacteria. We have a virus. Not just these police departments, but police departments across this country. I got a bottle of Lysol disinfectant wipes. It says it kills 99.9% of viruses and bacteria. Guess who the Lysol is? We are. We need to disinfect this state. We need to cover it and get their ass out of here. That's right. We are sick and tired of being sick and tired. That's right. Say it again. My stomach is hurting because I've been screaming and chanting and encouraging for the past 5 to 6 days. Y'all, my feet are tired. My soul is heavy. I'm in pain. But damn it, I'm gonna keep on coming out here. I'm gonna keep on standing up. And I'm gonna keep on fighting. Since we came over here to this country, These crooked ass motherfuckers.
Come on now.
Tell it.
What you'll call it like it is. Right
I'm
on.
gonna call it what it is.
There
White
you go.
supremacy.
Right.
Have waged what I call psychological warfare. I said it the other day. When they would lynch one of us, they would force the rest of us to watch it. To psychologically cause trauma and send a message that if we got out of line and didn't do what they said, or learn to read, or stand up in any way, that would happen to us. That is exactly what they attempted to do Monday night. They attempted to cause us to fear them. But as I look out here and I see this multiracial coalition of Minnesotans and other people who have come from around the country, it backfired. We ain't scared. What it did was anger us.
Yeah.
We stopped complaining like our dear sister, president of the Minneapolis chapter of the NAACP, Leslie Redmond says, don't complain, activate. We are activated. So what we as men are going to do, we going to get ourselves together so that we can protect our women and our mamas and our daughters and our sisters.
Right.
And what I need from you, who identified yourself as allies, I need you to take it to the next step and become accomplices.
Yep.
What do I mean by that? I'm glad you asked. I mean that these women that I'm talking about, these powerful black and brown women, there's also white women in this fight with us. They put their lives on the line. They stop traffic. They speak out. They protect us when they can. So what I'm saying to y'all, what it means to be accomplished, you have to be willing to put it all on the line. That white privilege that you did not earn, that white privilege that you did not earn, my ancestors earned that. We built this motherfucker. That's right. We need y'all to get that shit up. Right now. We need y'all to get up from some of them damn tables and make room for us. And if you don't, we gonna turn that motherfucker over and set up our own damn thing. Say his name! George Floyd! Say his name! George Floyd! Say his name! George Floyd! When I say Black Lives, you say matter! Your boy tired. When I say Black Lives, you say matter! Black Lives! Matter! Black Lives! Matter! When I say Black Lives, you say matter! Black Lives! Matter! Your boy tired. Now they say, who? Mama!
Come on, give it to him. Come on, Tay. Give it to him. Come on, Tay.
Mama!
You hear
It's 4 years for me. They say it's a revolution, right? It's time for y'all to give us our credit. Now, y'all ain't know Minnesota. My grandma set me up here at 17 years old.
Come on.
I didn't even know my grandma knew what I knew. When I say mama knows, mama knows. Mama!
Come on. Yeah. Give it to him, Tyrone. Tay, give it to him.
You talk about this crooked system, bro. Take it out now. When they put two Aries together, they messed up.
Oh man, it's three of them.
They messed up.
Three of them.
They messed up, boy. Cause see, my grandma told me back in the berry. What they don't know, I'm here to tell you now. You finna find out, Minnesota. One more time. Mama!
Yeah.
Mama! I love the Super Mario game. That's the only game I play. But I bought my son an educational DS at 4 years old. His mama told me, he too young for that. I said, listen, girl. Listen, girl. You know what the government told me? They told me, son, only two things gonna happen to you, boy. Damn it, you ain't. But see, I had a loving grandma with a third grade education, 13 kids, 12 boys, 1 girl. You see? So when I say, Mama, my grandma seen something in me I ain't seen myself. And my sister, oh, Nakima, I told you, and I saw you on the news, speaking strong. You eat that crap up and turn around and walk away. Or do like me, I'm a runner. That's why I was so fast. Hello! But to get back to my grandma, she knew something that I didn't know. Because when they took me away from my mama at 7 years old, and my grandma taught me what 7 meant, that's a perfect number. Jesus was perfect. You know, y'all talked about him all day, just like you talk about this African American, and you never gave us credit, just like them Indians. And my great grandma was 106 years old. I was able to see her live and hear her talk. And when she talked, everybody listen. It took her 3 years to mold me into this man, y'all. But I like her. When they took my mama, took me away from my mama, 3 weeks I ain't see her. 3 weeks. I lost her 4 years ago. That's why Minnesota, I know you. I found out something about you, Minnesota. This is my first protest. And I thank God, sister, you want me on your side. With my brother too. Because 4 years ago, you need it? Go ahead now. What I was told my grandma, when you interrupt me and tell me that's it, you the queen, I'm over.
We have received word of a security threat, so we're going to close out this program. We're going to ask people not to rush, but we're going to shut this down now. I'm so sorry, but we're thinking about safety.
They need to remember white supremacy is real.
Yes, white
There's still
supremacy
forces that don't want us to come
is real. So we're going to wrap this up. My apologies to all the family that are here, but we're putting safety first. Be safe. Say his name. George Floyd. 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 Say his name. George
How did it feel standing up there?
It was all right, man. It was all right, man. It was, you know, like, I mean, I didn't expect it, but rest in peace to George Floyd. Fight against systematic oppression, the corrupt system. We gotta do what we gotta do. Anything, man. By any means necessary. Thank you.
Nico, I have a question for you. Nico, I have a question for you. Did you get this here?
Huh?
Did you get this here?
No, it's mine.
Okay. No, this.
Oh, yeah.
What happened?
First day I got shot right here.
With
Mark around.
police or?
Mark around, yeah.
Be safe.
Thank you. What's your name?
Alex.
Alex? I'm Nico.
I know. I think everyone knows at this point.
I know, wow.
Keep rocking.
Hey, good to see you.
Good to see you at the DNC.
Yes, probably. Yes, probably.
Keep doing the good work.
All right, thanks. What's up,
Hi,
Erica?
how's it going? I've been wanting to say hi to you.
Oh, my goodness. How are you?
I'm doing all right. How about you? I know. I didn't even know that you were. I've been watching all your videos. It's so nice seeing you. Thank you for still being here.
Thank you for being you. It's great representing Jamar, too.
Yeah, of course, always.
I'm live right now. You want to talk about Jamar?
Oh, my uncle?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd love to.
Okay. So we're here with a family member, Jamar Clark. Talk about him.
I mean, again, I think that the media spread so many awful things about him, bringing up his past records, things that, you know, he's already served, things that he, in the eyes of the United States, he's already cleared himself of. But I guess I just want to talk about all the good things.
Yes, please.
Humanize him, make him, you know, not the thug that the news would put him out to be. He was an uncle. He was a young uncle. He was my grandma's 10th child. He was the little rascal that everyone loved in our family. Being a little girl and being around him, he always, you know, told me things along the lines of, you know, just being a lady and, you know, holding my head up, being a black woman, and that, you know, people are going to try to tear you down, but to always keep your head up. You know, he kept me and my brother out of trouble. My brother was very close to his age, and he was just there for our family, you know. My grandma wasn't perfect, my family wasn't perfect, but, you know, we had a perfect setting in our own little bit of chaos, and he was loved and he was missed dearly. I really do miss him. I miss anything about him. I miss his smile. And it tells to say that there's so many people that I still talk to who know his name, who knew about him. He was so in the community, you know, and he was getting his life together. And there's just things that I feel like people miss about those people, is that, you know, he was trying to get his life together. And again, the system, it's so broken. You know, being young and being out here in the streets, it's really hard for young black men. But he tried to make his way, and I'm just really sad and unhappy that, you know, his early departure from us, but we'll always stand here, we'll always be here. I've been in the front of the lines, I've been to all the protests, and I will keep saying his name. They will not forget him. He has nieces and nephews who will always say his name, so Jamar Clark will go down in history.
Yeah, so thank you. So Jamar Clark, 2015.
2015, yes.
How has it been for these 5 years? I know you sort of expressed some of it, but is it getting any better at all?
No, it's not, especially for the fact that every time you open the news, you see a story that's similar, which just brings back the pain every time. And then you feel for that family because you know what the road that they're going to have to go through, the going to the press conference, the trying to remind people, the forgetting is the worst part about it, is that, you know, And again, so many people went so hard for my uncle during the cold, staking out in front of the police station. But it's the point that, you know, when a news source come along, their names are forgotten. And, you know, it's just so hard because you want people to remember them, you know, you want their names to be, continue to be out there. And yeah, it's just the hardest part.
Anything else you'd want to say?
I guess I just want to thank everyone. Thank all the support. Thank people. I mean, I've been in the front of the lines, and there's people who have been part of the Jamal Clark movement, who have been part of all the movements, who've been at all the protests. And I love you guys. I see you guys, and you guys are amazing. Every supporter, every white supporter, every black supporter, Muslim supporter, Native American supporter. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thanks, Erica.
Thank you.
Love you. Sending love to you and your family. It's good to see you again.
It's just good seeing you. Okay. You stay well. All right. Stay safe.
Thank you. I used to teach Erica when I was a
This has been amazing.
Kim.
Yeah.
How you doing? You made a fiery speech. There was like 10,000 people, and now people are leaving for a threat, but I'm not really sure what that. I'll try to catch up. Do you know any information about that?
Well, they said that there was a threat. I don't know. Nakima would have more knowledge about it. So we're just trying to keep the people safe. But as I know, as a black woman, it's always a threat on black and brown people lives. So, you know, am I shocked about this? Absolutely not. It was a beautiful thing to see 10,000 people come together of every race, color, and creed. But we need this village, and we need to continue to be the village that we want to see. And until then, these horrific killings by police will continue to happen. And as I said, George Floyd, what happened to him, that was the straw that broke the camel's back. I know that people have been saying that their loved ones' names get washed away with each and every killing. I don't feel that way. I feel as though what we see happening across the world today is really what brought this sudden impact, burning the buildings on. But yes, I will say George Floyd, again, that just tipped the scale. But I think before George Floyd, they are all the faces before him. And it was just a combustion of all those loved ones' lives stolen, all the names, all the people that we've lost to police brutality. And as far as the looting, police are doing that. But they are doing that to take the focus away from what's really going on with George Floyd. I'm sorry. And we don't want one cop held accountable. We want all three held accountable. And let's be clear. He committed the act of killing. Chauvin committed the act of killing him and taking his breath away in his last breath. But you had three cops who were responsible just sitting around looking. To me, you just as guilty as him. And yes, you committed the act right along with him, because at any time you could have said, get up off him. You could have pushed him off of him by any means necessary. Had you did those things, George Floyd would still be alive. But instead, you all sat back and you watched. You watched as this man had taken his last breath. And to hear a man say, mama, mama. I know, because that's what my son said when he called me. He said, mama. And I'm going to tell you, when grown men call mama, that means trouble. That means save me. That means I need help. I'm in fear for my life. Something horrific is going on. And to hear that man say that, it's re-traumatizing all by itself. I watched that video, and when he got to the part of mama, I dropped the phone. Mama. And I keep holding on to that. I keep holding on to that. My son, Cordell Handy, called me and said, mama. How long must our black men and our sons and our grandsons and our nephews and cousins and the black community of men cry, mama? At what point will they ever be free? At what point? We shouldn't be having to do this. And then Governor Walz, he runs back in the house after what I said, but I meant what I said, and I'm sticking to it unapologetically. When David had governor's seat, nothing was being done. And while he was sitting at home drinking tea or whatever he was doing, preparing to run for governor, he didn't just now see this as a problem. It's been a problem. It's a national problem. And for the men of St. Paul police to want to come and take a knee with us, what? On our necks. Just yesterday, you all pulled a rubber, was willing to shoot us with rubber bullets. They pulled guns on us. Just yesterday. And today you want to take a knee? The only knee they need to be taken is in prayer, because they have a lot to answer for. As far as that 3rd precinct, sin don't live there no more. Y'all gonna have to move that somewhere else. It don't live there no more. I just think it's sad when I look at all the black men. It shakes my core, because this fight is bigger than Cordell and I. It's bigger than all the stolen lives. It's going to take all of us, children dead and children, parents who have children alive, to come together. It takes a village. It really does. And as I said today, the lady found my number when I was speaking to you, I believe Thursday morning. And her son was listening to me, and his name is JJ. And I just want to shout out to him. Your mom raising you right. She raising you. It's not about black and white. It's about wrong and right. Janet, keep up the good work. We need more mothers like you. We're laying the foundation and we're opening the doors, and I pray and I believe in my heart that my grandchildren will be the ones to be able to walk through that door, and we will come together. Every race, color, and creed will be able to join hands and come together and say, now I can breathe. Thank you. I love you, Nico. Thank you. Thank you, sweetie.
We're here live in St. Paul. Nice to meet you. I'm Nico. We met over there in Minneapolis at Target. Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Where? We tried to get a hold of you yesterday, but you were in Philly? No, we have other members. Other members? Oh, yep. We got members in Philly, Denver, Boston, DC, and South Africa. Going crazy, talking about, go find Unicorn. He's live right now. I'm like, let's go look for him. They're like, don't go look for him. What's up, everybody? What up, what up? Oh, you got 2 rigs going. Nice. What, you got one on like Instagram and one on somewhere else? One was live recording, and then the other one just fully recorded to an actual phone. Okay, gotcha. Good to see you again, man. Thank you too, man. All right, bro. You say I'm one of the Unicorn rides. Yep. Hey, thank you, Nico, I'm assuming? Yep. Nice. Thank you for covering this whole thing, man. Thank you, man. Appreciate it. You're a great part of the community, man. We need you around. We need more like you. Thank you. Appreciate it. I had a curious question. How's your setup run? Is it just like a cell phone hotspot or something? It's a Teradek core cloud system. Oh, damn. You actually have a good, like, professional setup. Supposedly. Sometimes it doesn't work. Like the first whole week, it didn't really look professional. But I mean, hopefully it's getting better. Have a good one, man. See you soon. You too. Good to meet you. So again, we're here in St. Paul. We're live. We're gonna bring this down in a second. There was 10,000 or so people here. They were told to, basically the program wrapped up a little early. I'm guessing because their discussions with the police and the police liaisons discussions from the marshals here to the police said that they could be here from 5 to 7 is my guess. And now that it's 4 to 6, 4 to 7, 4 to 6, something. It started at 4. I'm not sure. I guess I was thinking 5 to 7, but it's only 6:30, so never mind. All right, we see 1 down, 3 to go. Arrest all 4. The killer cops in jail. Justice for George Floyd. Again, this is the governor's mansion right here. Here's a bunch of names of Native folks that were taken by the police. You see Phil Quinn. We heard from his family earlier today. We also have covered Phil Quinn in the past. Go to Phil Quinn and Unicorn Riot for a search, and you'll find out more about Phil Quinn. He was killed in St. Paul by the St. Paul police, 2015. Corey Canoosh, Philip Highbear, John T. Williams. And it says, "I am not faking." Sarah Lee Circlebear, Mahadist, Good Blankets, Julio Bald Eagle, Gabriel Barnes, Paul Castaway, who said, "What's wrong with you guys?" before he was killed by the Denver police. Oh, hey, you want to talk about these?
Yeah.
Yeah, let's talk about each one if you want.
Okay.
We just said Paul Castaway. This is his brother, Gabriel. And yeah, this is your flag.
Yeah, this is our flag that we hold up at the marches that we go. So we're representing, there's more people than this, but this is our first flag that we did, that we were flying in Standing Rock when we were out there. So these are all the people that are, that we represent and that we're out here fighting for. Phil Quinn was killed by Minneapolis police.
St. Paul.
St. Paul. Corey Canoosh was killed in Utah. Philip Highbear was killed in jail. John T. Williams was killed in Seattle for carving he was wood carving with a knife. Sarah Lee Circlebear was killed in jail in Aberdeen, South Dakota. Mahivis Good Blanket was killed in Oklahoma. Julio Bald Eagle was killed in Kyle, South Dakota. Gabriel Barnes was killed in Tennessee. He was 16 years old and they shot him 17 times trying to get out the car.
Wow.
This is my brother Paul. He was killed in Denver, Colorado during a mental health crisis. He was trying to commit suicide holding a knife to his own throat. And the cop shot him in front of 3 kids and 3 adults and 18 kids. Sorry, sir. Ben White Shield was killed in Oklahoma, and my mom's telling me that we might be related to him.
Oh wow.
Jesse Lee Rose was killed in New York. L'Oreal Sinjini was killed in Arizona for holding a pair of hair cutting scissors. And then Sitting Bull, he was killed on December 15th, 1890 by the police. His last words was, "I'm not going." He was killed by his own people too that were police. And then Jamie Lee Wounded Arrow, she was killed in Sioux Falls, I think it was. And then Raina Renville was killed in Connington County Jail. She was, those were her last words, was "Help me please." Jacqueline Sawyer, she was killed in Seattle. I think she was killed in Seattle. I'm not for sure, but she was they were looking for her boyfriend. She was pregnant. She was 6 months pregnant, and they killed her. Alan Locke, he was killed inside his own home in front of his wife and his kids. Jamie Braveheart, he was killed in the jail in Rapid City. Renee Davis was killed by the police in, I think it was in Washington, and she was having a mental health crisis. Zachary Bearhills, he was killed in Omaha, Nebraska 2 years ago. They're tearing it up down there. Love you, Renita. He was killed by 4 officers. This was the only Native American family that the cops were indicted, and all 4 cops ended up being found not guilty, and they have their job back.
Where was that again?
This was in Omaha, Nebraska.
Okay, yep.
And I might be related to him too. Wow. And then Antonio Lopez, he was killed in San Jose, California by the university police. And his last words was, "It's okay, it's okay."
Man, so this is only 20 names, you memorized them all just on this flag, and you have another flag over there that has even more names, or what?
There's more names on this flag.
Some of them the same, but it has the dates.
Ryan G. Gift Jr. Ryan G. Gift Jr., he was killed in Fort Yates, South Dakota. That's right down the road from camp in Sandy Rock. And my brother, Johnny Bonta, was killed in Reno, Nevada by Reno police. And then Julio Baldito, Billy Hughes was killed here.
St. Paul police.
Yeah, St. Paul police killed him while he had his hands up. He had his hands up coming out of his house. Yeah, he had his hands up. He was coming out of his house. And the cops went and shot and killed him anyway. And then Corey Canas killed in Utah. Phil Quinn was here. St. Paul police. Alan Locke, Gabriel Barnes, Jesse Lee Rose, James Braveheart, and Cody Air. Cody Air was shot 40 times in Alaska. These are native people. These are native people from Alaska. 40 times by the Highway Patrol, like he was Superman.
I think that people want to organize. I don't have that.
And there's a lot more names in this. A lot more names. Clarence Leading Fighter is one of them that should be on here.
What does this mean to you, man? You have 2 flags filled with names, and that's and you remember each spot.
Yeah.
And like you said, that's just the small tip.
Yeah, we got 2 more other flags than this. These are the only 2 that we pulled out. We have 2 more other flags that have more names on it than what you see here.
Right, that's all of us to do. And I'll never forget.
Wow. Too many. And the CDC did a report back in 2015, and they reported that natives were the highest to be killed by police out of minority groups. Even though we make up the small percent, we're the ones that they kill the most. So we're out here. We're out here with the family. In solidarity with George Floyd. I'm sitting here representing all the Native Lives Matter, all the people that were killed by police that were Native, and we're out here doing it, shutting it down. I'm out here in the streets shutting it down for everyone.
And so, the very foundation of this country's building, which was somebody else's land, Native folks' land, indigenous land, and then using folks from Africa to then build it, right? Yeah. Now those 2 demographics of people are the top 2 killed by the police forces.
Yeah.
It's definitely was built this way.
Yes.
Okay, we have an uprising across the country.
Yes.
What is a way that you think that it can be sustained afterwards, to where it does, maybe not like continuing to protest afterwards, but some kind of sustained change where it wasn't all in vain?
Yeah. Wow, that one's kind of makes you dig deep on that one. I don't even know where to begin. But it's not going to. Hopefully something will change from this. Hopefully something will change to this. I've been telling all these other families that are not out there, to get up and get out there and lead these marches. It's time to start taking over these marches and these rallies, everything that's happening out here. And, we have to be the ones to get up and take control of it. But I'm hoping that, that there is a little bit of change after this, because we all know that the cops are just going to keep killing us. That's 3 to 5 people a day, and it's a little too much for someone's mind and soul.
Well, thank you for explaining the flags and for remembering all the names and telling the audience all the names and sort of something of where they're from and a little bit of the history of police terror that killed them. Anything else you'd want to say?
No, justice for George, justice for all these people here, including my brother Paul. And we're out here.
Word. Thank you.
Thank you.
The people are still gathered. That's Tyrone Carter in the background talking. He was an ex-NFL player. He went to school at the University of Minnesota, and then he played football. He was the safety on defense. I think he played for Pittsburgh and maybe some other places. I'm not sure. Pittsburgh Steelers. So, again, this is St. Paul. This was the governor's mansion. This is the governor's mansion. We live streamed 2 events from here. The first one was 13 families speaking about their lost loved ones to either police terror or in jail terror. The second one was an event called Jail Killer Cops here outside of the governor's residence in St. Paul. The stream started with a whole bunch of military National Guard on Grand Avenue. They were out there protecting Grand Avenue, telling us to have fun, which was weird. It's a very somber experience out here. People are very mad and angry and dealing with real life things, but I guess for a white National Guardsman from elsewhere, it's just fun to them. Tim Walz came out for a little bit, and yes, I would love one.
All right.
Thank you very much. Tim Walz came out, and we asked him what brought him out. He said something about listening. I can't remember. It was a lot going on at the moment. There was a lot of people. There was 10,000 people out here at least. You know, it was every inch from one side of the street to the next, all in the sidewalks and everything else was people. So a lot of people were out here, and it got ended a little early. And it got ended early just basically because of the threat of the National Guard down the street. They wanted to make sure everybody was safe. They also, I think, saw the crowd was so big, it would have been hard to probably control it if stuff got a little bit different than what it was planned to be, possibly. So we're going to take the stream down, and I'm doing an outro. I'm going to talk to you in a minute. We're going to take the stream down, and then we'll be around. We'll be back in Minneapolis. We'll try to gather some info, some things that are happening, and we'll continue to document. Again, this is Nico from Unicorn Ride. If you like our footage, if you want to support us, you have the financial privilege to support us, definitely go to unicornride.ninja/donate. We really appreciate any and all help. We are a worker-run, horizontal, organized, nonprofit media organization dedicated to bringing context to social and environmental struggles, and it's our duty to sort of be out here bringing the community's voice. And so,
Peace to you, man.
Peace.
Have a nice day, man.
You too.
Just missed this guy right there. They're making money off the protest.
Okay. Wait.
He just blatantly said that he's been making money off of it so far. And he's like, you know what? I don't even answer your question anymore. You're making money off of us. And he just left.
Oh, yeah.
You too?
You out?
No, I'm not. I might just stick around a little bit.
Okay. I'm trying to, hold on one second. I'm doing an outro. I'm live right now, but 1 second. And let me see. Okay, so, yeah. So, again, this was Nico. Thanks, Jen, for the back end. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. There was 10,000 people up here. They've now dispersed. We will be back documenting things in Minneapolis tonight. We're not sure when we'll be live, but we may be live.